Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite aspiring revolutionary here, a wandering author, reminding you that we're all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same: spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. Today, I'm at the False Cape State Park in Virginia, almost to North Carolina, I believe, on the Atlantic coast. I believe that some of the Atlantic right there in the background that you can see. Ground's a lot flatter. My foot's definitely still hurt, but it has been getting a lot better. And today, we're going to review we're going to finish up what we were talking about yesterday with the Four Noble Truths. We got through, so the Four Noble Truths literally describe the nature of suffering. And then Samsara is the wheel of life, which is a depiction of a bunch of different aspects of humanity, basically. And we'll go into that today. The 6 realms, which are allegorical depictions that of the ring's central band, which is the thickest, and then the 12 links of dependent origination, which describe kind of like how we come to our delusions and how they feed into each other. So again, the reason we're going over this in the first place is it's contemporaneous, meaning it's from around the same era, these ideas, as the Greek stuff that we're studying, just another part of the world. So again, the Four Noble Truths go over the fact that life is suffering. Suffering arises from desire and delusions. And then it is possible to get rid of suffering, and the way we do that is by eliminating desires, basically. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's a general summary. And then Samsara is the same thing as Nirvana, but just from the unenlightened perspective. So we got to the 6 realms yesterday, and this is Samsara is literally the wheel of life, and it's pictured in Buddhist and Hindu iconography frequently. And the wheel's central and thickest band is divided into 6 sections, 3 on top and 3 on the bottom. These realms are where different classes of beings reside, which are associated with mental sufferings. The first one is greed, 2 is anger, 3 is ignorance, 4 desire, 5 pride, and 6 jealousy. So the first one, and this is all translated from Sanskrit, realm of hell, or anger. And I mentioned this one yesterday at the end of my video, if you caught that. This is intense misery resides in the realm dominated by anger and hatred. These beings live in constant paranoia and see the external world as a threat. Compassion can't exist in this realm, as its inhabitants' unbalanced mental state pushes them into emotional turmoil continuously. And I think that vibes with my everyday lived experience. Whenever I've been angry, it's generally hard to be understanding, you know? And if you're angry all the time, you would be paranoid. And I can see why that's the very bottom. 2 is realm of hungry ghosts, or greed. So hungry ghosts are pathetically and eternally unsatisfied. They have an endless drive to sate their hunger and quench their thirst, but can never find any relief. They experience constant denial despite being surrounded by nourishment. And this one is one that stood out to me quite a bit, only because I've seen it in my own life, and I mean in other people. Quite frequently, the people who don't necessarily have the most stuff aren't the ones who are the least satisfied. It's the ones who have a ton of money or have a ton of objects. For some reason, it's like they're inhabited by hungry ghosts that are eternally dissatisfied, greedy. And we'll get into Aristotle does have quite a few similarities in his ideas to some of these right here. But realm of the animals is number 3, which is ignorance. So beings dominated by unconscious reflexes and a particular strain of ignorance belong to the animal realm. They usually focus on food and sex. So this is right here is very analogous to what Aristotle would call the animative soul, our basal desires. And then the top 4, the next 3 realms are a little different. So 4 is the human realm, which is associated with desire. The human realm is the lowest of the 3 higher realms. However, we are still driven by the same delusions as the ones that are below this. So greed, anger, those things still apply. But humanity is blessed with its ability to recognize its own delusions and transcend its suffering. One step up from there, we have the realm of the demigods. which is associated with jealousy. So demigods are envious. So this realm is rife with interpersonal conflict and competition. And I will say, in some of the areas where people do have quite a bit competition, sins to dominate. And there are these little flies that are on this trail, and they do not leave you alone. Like this one will not leave me alone. Sorry. Anyways, they're constantly comparing themselves, and more importantly, they always feel like they have less than they deserve, even though they have more than most other people. And then 6 is the realm of the gods, which is associated with pride. So if you've got everything else, your biggest issue is often pride. Gods reside at Samsara's pinnacle, and no obvious signs of suffering are apparent in their realm. Everyone appears healthy and beautiful, but pride is the gods' inevitable downfall. Before plummeting down in another rebirth, their garlands, which is like flowers, begin to wilt, they begin to smell, and other gods abandon them. So yeah, and that describes Samsara. So even the gods, like, from their perspective, from the Buddhist perspective, like your whole goal is to escape that cycle entirely, not try to move up it in a linear progression. And then the will's realms. So the 6 realms are part of the will's central band, but most of the action is actually happening on its surface, which is itself divided into 12 separate sections. These are called, dang, dude, this bug is bothering the crap out of me. Anyways, these are called the 12 links of dependent origination, because each one leads into the other, like a chain. And this one won't take quite as long, but check out some of this beautiful stuff here, other than these bugs. And there are quite a few people that, I'm like the only person I've seen out here walking, and I bet it's because of these flies. But quite a few people are on bikes, I've noticed. Not right now, obviously, but so the first one of the 12 is ignorance, which is grasping in at, like, our ignorant grasping at inherent existence leads to karmic action, creating imprints that leads to consciousness, which aggregates and leads to name and form, which is kind of similar to Plato's forms. These lead to sense fields, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, which then contact and create objects of senses with them, leading to sensations or feelings, which those lead to judgments, which go to attachment, back to, and because we judge things as good or bad, we end up grasping at the good things. That is our existence, which leads to birth, and then 12 death. And so there is nothing whatsoever differentiating samsara from nirvana. There is nothing whatsoever differentiating nirvana from samsara. And that's from the Indian master Nagarjuna, which was a big takeaway. I didn't know this about their belief system, which is that nirvana and samsara are the same place, but seen from an enlightened and unenlightened perspective, which I do think kind of has some kind of like a, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or you can be happy or unhappy and not have your circumstances change at all, just the way you see them, right? And then we'll close off with one more important aspect and the fundamental part of their philosophy, which is renunciation. So obviously delusions are what lead to our suffering, and that's all 6 realms are associated with a particular delusion. So renunciation means, in Tibetan, authentic becoming, and it symbolizes the attitude you're supposed to adopt toward these delusions, meaning you're supposed to stop falling for them and start being your authentic self, which will help you attain nirvana. And that's pretty much all I've got for you guys today. Tomorrow we will talk about we're going to talk about pathos, I think. Finish up modes of persuasion before moving into the Nicomachean ethics and talking about temperance, which is the next thing that that Aristotle talks about in that book. But yeah, it's the basics of Buddhism right there. And we'll go into a more, just like we are with some of the other ideas. I definitely want to start talking about the book Rhetoric. That's a really good one. But yeah, I am gonna be in South Carolina tomorrow, which means that my travels for this summer are coming to a close. And look at how beautiful this area is here. Anyways, that's really what I've got for you guys today. It's the Wandering Author here, reminding you that we're all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same: spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. What are you guys doing in order to inspire, uplift, and empower your communities today? Because this world isn't changing unless we all do our part. You can count on me to do mine daily. Until next time, I love you.